The September 18th, 2013 meeting of the Environmental and Public Works Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello? Here. Mr. Antelli? Here. Mr. Colby is excused. Chairman Daniele?
Here.
Mr. Haney? Here. Mr. Wilcox? Here. Mr. Yolovich? Here. President Adair? Here.
We're good. Is there anyone signed up to speak in the public forum today?
There is not.
There is not. And there is no one present, so we're not even going to ask the question. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the August 21st, 2013 minutes of the Environmental Public Works Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business.
Referral 13-273.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Antelli. Any questions? Any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My first question is, I'm wondering when the president is going to take his laundry down here. I mean, really.
I'm going to have to ask you to put that in writing, and if you submit it to the chair, I'll see what I can do to get you an answer.
It should be dry by now. Second question. I'm confused about how this is going to work now. And my understanding, at least, was that the contractor in each of these cases was guaranteeing that the savings would exceed the cost of the project, and that we would pay, that the contractor was financing the project, and that if in any year the savings did not exceed what we owed the contractor, we could withhold that amount from the payment to the contractor. But now that we're financing it through the Power Authority, I assume the county is going to be making the payments directly back to the Power Authority. How do we now accomplish a recovery? Let's say 5, 6, 7 years from now, the savings are not exceeding the costs. How do we recover that?
Through the chair, I guess I'll try to address that question by talking about the project in general, and hopefully I covered. If not, let me know. We are going to finance the project through NYPA, and we will pay the debt service, as mentioned, directly back to NYPA. The energy performance contract does not contain a fixed dollar savings guarantee. It contains a fixed energy savings guarantee. So what the performance contractor has to do in each instance is verify through an insured performance guarantee that's part of the contract that it contains a measurement and verification program that in fact the kilowatts of energy or the decatherms of natural gas were saved by the improvement, and from that savings, the fact that we're not buying those kilowatts or buying those decatherms, you generate savings in your utility lines in your budget, those cost centers, and you decrease them accordingly, and you would obviously have a contracted debt section in the budget where you would pay for the project. So in essence, there is a guarantee. It's not necessarily dollars, but it's based on energy prices. And looking historically kind of at energy prices, there really is a minimum dollar guarantee because there hasn't been great fluctuation in energy prices. There's been decreases in natural gas, but we're at all-time lows. So as it relates to this project, it's anticipated that, you know, if anything, the upside, if you will, is going to relate to the savings we see on the prices for these commodities going forward.
So the guarantee is not a dollar guarantee; it's an energy volume guarantee?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, suppose 7, 8 years from now, the energy volume guarantee is not being met. How do we recover we then, as I understand it, are entitled to recover something from the contractor. How do we do that?
Through the chair, that is correct. What we do at that point is we take the average kilowatt price or the average decatherm price we paid for that given contract year. You multiply that by the deficit in commodity savings. So let's say they were going to save for you simple numbers, 1,000 kW, a megawatt, and they only save 500 kW. We would multiply that by the price per kilowatt for electricity that the county paid in that given year, and that would be the dollar amount owed to us by the contractor. So it does float with the market, so it's not as if we're, by some chance, energy prices decline. It's, there would be the benefit to, that we would, it would not be locked to today's price, but that price, or if energy prices increase, which is more likely, in my opinion, that it would be locked to that price. So there is a mechanism for recovery.
But what do we have to do, bill the contractor for that amount?
Through the chair, there's a mechanism in the insured performance guarantee where the contractor has to verify the energy savings, and if a deficit is seen in those energy savings, they're obligated by the contract when they return that true up, if you will, that guarantee for the year, to cut us a check. So we do not have to bill them. The mechanism is on an annual basis, contract year, that they have to cut us a check.
But since we're financing through the Power Authority rather than through them, we have no guarantee that we'll get payment.
Through the chair, if you don't mind.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Through the chair, we
For
have...
example, let's say Danforth went out of business.
Through the chair, like any contract, if the vendor went out of business, I mean, we would have, I would take all legal action necessary to protect ourselves as a creditor.
Through the chair, under the old arrangement, were we paying for the project in total upfront, or were we paying for the project over the 15 years or something?
Through the
to
chair,
the contractor.
Through the chair, nothing's changed in that regard. Whether the project was financed by municipal lease or whether it was financed through NIPA, the assured performance guarantee as it relates to the energy savings is exactly the same. The only thing that's changed here is the funding mechanism. The funding mechanism previously was envisioned as a municipal lease, which would be paid on an annual basis through the term of the financing period. And, I believe in the case of the one project, or actually the projects in front of us here today, are 5 years. And therefore, we would have paid an annual payment as a municipal lease. Here, we'll simply pay an annual debt service payment over the same time period.
But the difference is that through the chair, under the lease, if we had a year in which there was a deficiency, we could offset it against the payment that was due, whereas now we've got to bill and hope that the contractor will pay us.
Yeah. Through the chair, the Danforth, or in this case with the referral before, SmartWatt as the contractor, was never going to be the financier. It would have been a municipal lease that was competitively procured.
Oh. That wasn't clear when we adopted these. At least I thought the contractors were financing these. So in effect, it is the same situation under either scenario. We would have had to hope, A, that the contractor was still in business, and B, that they were solvent if we got to a point where they owed us money. Is that correct in either scenario?
Through the chair, in the unlikely event that any of those firms were no longer in business, would be the same under any scenario, correct?
Okay, I see. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item carries. Are there any other matters to come before the committee this evening? There being no other matters, the September 18, 2013 meeting of the Environmental Public Works Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting will be held October 23rd, 2013 at 5 o'clock p.m.